What is up everybody, it's Stray once again. Hope you guys aren't tired of me just yet as we have a super special video for today. Today, we're going to be analyzing the final game of Twitch Rival Grand Finals between Brax's T1 team versus basically TSM with Myth. I'm going to be referring to the teams as T1 and TSM respectively. What I love about this tournament is that I'm seeing so many great CSGO players who are transitioning to Valorant, and it's extremely exciting to watch some of the best aimers duke it out. I'm going to be doing my best in making these rounds more digestible for you viewers and explain why each team made certain decisions. But before we jump into it, we have our question of the day. Do you like these pro analysis videos? Leave your thoughts in the comments below as we'll be reading all of them to gauge whether you enjoyed today's video. Now, let's jump straight into it. For the team comp, TSM opted for Omen, Sage, Brimstone, Sova, and Phoenix. This has a bit more deviation than the standard meta comp. To maximize these agents' potential, you have to utilize Omen's smoke when it's up to take control of areas of the map early with ability since it's rechargeable. Sova should also play a part in map control with his recon bolt that leads to a lot of information on where the enemy team is going. Paired alongside with Phoenix, his flash should also enable TSM to be peeking aggressively occasionally for info and maybe get kills along the way. Sage and Brimstone are very standard and will always be picked due to their utility with heals and smokes. With this double smoke comp with Omen and Brim, they should always be using Omen smoke early to gain control of certain parts of the map and then Brim smoke to execute onto the site. T1 on the other hand goes for very meta choices with Cypher, Sage, Brim, Breach, and Raze. These agents have a really nice balance of defense with Cypher and Sage and aggression with Breach and Raze. Cypher is really strong at holding flanks, getting info, and defending sites, while Breach supports aggressive pushes similar to Phoenix. Raze on the other hand is probably the riskiest agent choice. With the kit with only damage and no actual utility, you have to do a lot of damage in order to get value out of her. In pro play, teams generally know how to play around Raze more so than solo queue, making her a lot worse for doing that. Let's get into pistol round as we'll be seeing Bind for their final map. For T1 on the pistol round, they start out with 3B first round, which is their default, and their setup consists of 2 pushing B long for info, while AZK sets up the fault line for the peak B long. TSM sends 2 B long and gets dazed by Breach. Skadoodle peeks a little prematurely before the fault line comes out. Food gets the 2 enemies at B long, but 3 get out of hookah and they wipe the defenders. I think if they wanted to play this setup, Breach at elbow would be the better choice so that they could watch the hookah jump out and have the B long players play safe in garden after clearing B long. It then turns to a 2v3 retake for Brax and Crashies. Brax boombots elbow and it spots somebody and they both pick up a kill each, leaving it all up to Wardell alone in hookah to clutch. The paranoia came out a bit late for TSM as they should have used it as soon as they heard the boombot. Wardell is in hookah alone and gets the first kill in the 1v2, but Crashies gets the defuse halfway, which allows him to have a lot more time to get the kill. Crashies taps the bomb again and Wardell peeks and instantly gets destroyed. If he had waited 1 or 2 more seconds before the peak, he would have won that round very easily. A great start for T1 as they win the 2v3 retake. Here comes the first gun round and we see the 3-2 setup again by T1 on B, and they are actually playing double U-Haul and double hookah with Breach solo on the B site. Double U-Haul is really interesting as they're playing a bait and switch with Brax taking the first contact. If Brax does go down, they won't be expecting another player, Crashies, in that corner near U-Haul. TSM on the other hand is doing a 1-2-2 setup with 1 watching B long, 2 working hookah, and 2 watching A short and showers. Skadoodle jiggle peeks to spot an enemy outside hookah and they do a really nice slower plus molly combo, but it just doesn't get anyone this time. T1 then does a nice double wall boost in hookah, but Food kinda tries to jump after a dude reloading and kinda ints. It looks a lot worse than it is because he wanted to get the guy spamming the wall and was banking on the fact there was only 1 person there. After TSM get the first kill, they start gravitating towards B. I love what T1 decides to do here as AZK doubles up hookah with Skadoodle and they get 3 kills in hookah together. Scott could have got 1 more, but he accidentally runs off the box. Myth gets 2 and Color gets Brax behind the site, making a 2v1 post plant against Crashies. Crashies tries to run through the smoke after using cam and dies. Good round by TSM, but only 2 players for TSM live with guns, meaning their economy will be worse later in the rounds as they have to rebuy 3 sets of equipment. Here on the next gun round, we see the same setup for both teams. TSM tries to work hookah again, but this time Scott is an operator and he gets the first pick on Sub Rosa trying to molly Food out. I can't believe that TSM doesn't get this return frag on Food with 28 HP jumping out of the molly. After getting a pick, I really like how they wall it off and retreat. With the man advantage, you don't need to take any risk and just play sight. This is something for you solo queue players out there. You don't need to take risks when you're up ahead. With 4 people remaining, TSM does a 1-3 push towards B with 3 hookah and Sage alone B long, who then walls off the elbow. Omen then smokes CT while Sova drones in, and then they follow the drone into site. My only gripe with this is that they send 3 into hookah. A better setup in my opinion would only be 1 in hookah late while 3 push B long together, and then the hookah guy starts peeking out once they get into sight. Sova could probably take control of hookah by himself with his Howl drone. I also really don't like the fact that Sage is solo pushing B long by herself and taking the first contact as seen here. They get quickly wiped by Food and Ska, which means TSM are put onto another eco round. After a quick 5th round eco, we have the same default for TSM, but this time T1 puts Ska, their operator, on A to peek showers with Crashies. As Ska and Crashies clear showers, they know that it won't be A pretty early on into the round, leading to a fast rotation to the B bomb site. On the other side of the map, TSM use Owl drone to clear hookah as they know T1 have been heavily playing hookah in the first few rounds. T1 this time are playing more passive as they have only 2 on the B site. After TSM get into hookah, they decide to group up for B, but Crashies is already on the big flank. This time for TSM, they have 2 B long and 3 hookah with Phoenix Ultimate leading the charge, which has better odds, but unfortunately they're running into a 4-man stack. And the reason for the stack is Crashies pushing out for information early, realizing it's not going to be A. Wardell does shoot a recon arrow on site, but Ska is fast to shoot it so it doesn't reveal Brax hiding in the corner. Wardell gets a pretty good pick, killing Brax in the corner with Hunter's Fury, but Crashy gets here on time with the flank and AZK clean up with 2 kills apiece, leaving the score 5-1 for T1. It's very important to note that TSM decided to use Phoenix, Sova, and Brimstone ultimate to try and win that round. Because T1 didn't have to use any ultimates and still won the round, this puts them even farther ahead than the scoreline suggests, in both the ultimate and regular economy at this point. Jumping to the 8th round, T1 is still playing their same default with their 3 setup on B and 2 hookah. For TSM, they have Sage watching B long passive by herself with 2 A short and 2 showers. TSM decide to early smoke U-Haul with Brimstone when they should be doing it with Omen. Not a huge mistake, but something we should note. Phoenix also has Flame Wall but gets hit by a trap wire and backs up. Here, TSM does their execution with the Brim Smoke Wall and only send Drone into U-Haul. Here, TSM just need to play slow as Drone is in a very good position on site. Wardell's drone baits out the first op shot by Brax, allowing Wardell to then hold the angle, and that leads to the first kill on Brax. As you can tell, a lot goes into getting the opening kill in Valorant, and you have to be so careful at the top level of play. Moving on to round 9, T1 decides to play proactively with 3 pushing short A. They're doing such a great job in switching up Breach and utilizing him to play aggressive. I think because AZK and Crashies had their ultimate that round, they really wanted to scout out where the enemies were so they could capitalize and use them for kills. After having 3B for most rounds, they probably had a good feeling they were going to be around A short early. Luckily, AZK pushes up and catches Drone flashing for an easy first kill. At the same time, Brax was also there with an operator and got Wardell shower side of A short while his teammates were looking at the market side. Crashies then uses his ultimate to see where the remaining enemies were. Another thing to note during this push was that they had a tripwire early in the round, so they didn't need to be careful of showers. Here's where T1 kinda messes up though. It's 5v3 and Crashy still pushes. If you're up in man advantage, you don't need to push and risk it. Eventually, Crashies dies to Sage, who had ultimate already beforehand. The kill for ult stack didn't matter, but what does matter is the man advantage. After she reses, it becomes an even 4v4. Brax gets the call that Spike is outside showers after Crashy pushed and died, so he tries to get a quick pick and then fall back, but isn't quite able to connect the operator shot to get the equalizer kill. Wardell then does get a very nice entry pick with his ultimate, and Sub Rosa goes through the smoke to surprise Brax. It's then a 2v3 retake, and I love that Color takes his time to rotate from A short all the way to showers to secure the round. Skadoodle almost finishes the defuse, but Food can't quite win the 1v1 duel, and Cutler gets a nice little 1v2 clutch. The main point of this round is Crashies pushing up and dying alone while having a 2-man advantage. On round 10, T1 and TSM are both doing their standard defaults, but T1 is pretty broke. Here's where T1 gets creative. Food has 7k and decides to drop Skadoodle the op and have him peek into Hookah Connector to try and pick somebody off. Everybody on T1 has enough to buy next round, so this is a great way to give them a chance while not giving up too much. T1 is showing fantastic understanding of economy. After a bit, TSM decide to move towards the A bomb site. I love how on this round, they smoke off U-Haul early with Omen smoke like we've been trying to say before to gain control of A short. They honestly should have been doing this every round. You'll also notice Crashies is doing a deep camera in showers, giving T1 a bunch of info if TSM is outside the showers or not. Notice how Drone is always using his firewall towards U-Haul, even though he doesn't commit to crossing. It still creates a lot of pressure for defenders as it's blocking off line of sight. Crashies again pushes showers based off camera info and actually gets the spike carry down coming from attacker spawn. Great first pick from Crashies, as you usually see him playing aggressive to start T1 off with a lead. Now watch how Brax plays this. He starts by doing a passive retake because he has worse weaponry and waits for his teammates to rotate. If the enemy has better weaponry, you should play for numbers and wait for rotations while playing as passive as possible. Because the defenders are playing so passively though, Sub Rosa prods the defense and gets to actually walk straight into sight. It's great realization by TSM to know that defenders are in U-Haul and the use of Orbital Strike will lead to a very clean round. A tip for the viewers, Orbital Strike is pretty much always a guaranteed kill if they're playing in U-Haul, because it either straight up kills them or makes them jump out into the open. This was a very clean round by Team Myth, only losing 2 players, but Scott does save the op for T1. While they still could have bought next round, saving the op is a huge economic boost as Scott can drop more guns in the future. In round 11, we see a standard setup again in a 3-2 split by T1 with 2 operators this time with AZK and Hookah and Scott playing A. TSM does a standard default, but Sub Rosa decides to peek into Hookah and gets opt. I don't think the person with smoke should be taking first contact, especially when they constantly know that T1 likes playing inside Hookah. If TSM really wanted to take control of Hookah, I think Phoenix would be the better agent because he could flash the angle. This is why Breach is somewhat a better pick as his disruption is more consistent. I would say Breach is much better at taking a spot like Hookah because both his fault line and flashpoint go through the wall, making it much safer to engage afterwards. Anyways, after losing a player, TSM decide to cut their losses and go back to A. Drone again does the same flame wall and gets the U-Haul for a 1-for-1 trade, which is not bad, but the attackers are still down a man. Yet another thing I love to see is Brax actually boom-botting to clear U-Haul and holding the grenade ready for the plant sound. If the defender is not prepared for the nade, it's usually a free kill for Raze. After the Sage Wall is placed, it's instantly destroyed by Crashies, so the plant is a little bit unorthodox. For you guys out there, see what Crashies is doing and study it. He instantly shoots down the wall, so it's harder for TSM to get the plant down. And after the nade from Brax, Brax manages to spam the box and gets the kill. He immediately gets traded out by Wardell pushing U-Haul with an operator though. Since it was a 3v2 and the bomb was planted in an awkward spot, attackers had to take some duels to turn it into man advantage again, but by doing so, they get traded out and it's another nice win for T1. For the second pistol round, TSM does a 4-man setup towards B with Crashies holding the flank with camera and trapwire. This is what Cypher excels at on the offensive end. He's great at holding multiple parts of the map without actually having a man there. But look at this amazing TSM 4-man gamble stack on B with Sub Rosa solo holding showers for the retake if needed. They must have seen T1 scrim as they had a really hard read on this play. Really nice call by them. Since Cypher is watching the flank, he can't use his camera to see how many people are playing A, so T1 will still continue with their 4-man B. Amazing adaptation here still by T1 to execute with smokes and only commit Brax to the B for a fake while the rest take the TP back to A. In hindsight, committing 2 to B is probably better and then having them just push CT afterwards. They almost run out of time running to A, but do get the plant down just in time. Wardell comes out really fast out of defender spawn and gets 2 quick frags, leading to the retake being successful. After another quick eco, we move on to the gun round. On round 15, TSM actually has the same 3B default setup as T1 with Wardell opping with Drone in Hookah and Myth playing inside B site. Cypher decides to trapwire flank and Team Brax heads with all 5 towards A. The first thing I notice are these awesome Brimstone smokes. You don't really see these in solo queue, so I'm so happy to see these as a Brim main. U-Haul, Heaven, and CT are the 3 smokes instead of the standard smoke wall we usually see. T1 run through Sage Slow with Stim Beacon and Breach flashes behind the truck, making Poor Cutler a sitting duck. Sub Rosa is solo holding in bathrooms for the retake, but gets sandwiched in showers and they lose both A players really quickly. T1 only loses 1 player, so it's a very clean round economically, but Wardell does get to save the operator for future rounds. After a few more rounds, the score is 9-8 with T1 leading. This time, T1 does a 4-1 split favoring B with Crashy's solo showers and gets a huge kill leading to an impactful Cypher ultimate. This ultimate makes TSM panic as they try to split 2-2 evenly on both sides, but the information leads to a 4-man push onto the B-bomb site by T1. Something TSM could have considered is to try and fake the rotation A during Cypher ultimate and then gamble stack a site. If they don't come to the stack site, then they can just save for next round. T1 does a nice 3-smoke execute, smoking off CT, Elbow, and Hookah since nobody cleared Hookah. Beautiful. Also, orbital striking backside pretty much gives T1 a 100% chance to take the site cleanly. Essentially, this round came down to Crashy's first blood on showers and then the follow-up Neuro Theft. Again, after another eco round, for round 20, T1 has 4 towards B while Crashy lurks A. Brax gets picked really early by the Opera playing Hookah, but AZK gets an insane refrag to kill Wardell while he's on top of the wall. This gets T1 the safe res, meaning the man advantage is back once again for T1 as they steamroll the site. When executing, T1 didn't have a lot of time, and if Sub Rosa orbital striked half a second earlier, TSM would have actually won the round, but that's fully in hindsight. Coming after another eco, round 22, a very simple idea again as T1 sends everybody A and they trapwire to watch the flank. TSM has their usual 3B defense, so A will be significantly easier to take with only 2 remaining agents there. Brax rockets early in the round and that forces the A players to retreat early to create a lot of space for T1 onto the site. As you can see here, Ray's ultimate is a very effective tool to create a huge threat to the defenders and make them back off conceding site. As they do their 3 smoke setup, they get onto site pretty effortlessly. TSM had an extremely slow rotation after they heard 3+ footsteps in A, with Ray's ultimate leading the charge. TSM needed to rotate a lot faster. Even then, it somehow still turns into a 3v3 situation. Food decides this is his moment to shine and he goes off with a huge 3k and T1 takes a crucial round to go to match point. Since it is match point, TSM are forced into a very broken buy. As for T1, if it works, don't fix it. T1 does 5A again and the Cypher trapwire to watch the flank. Sub Rosa decides to smoke deep showers and gets into position. A great Sage Slow Orb plus Orbital Strike combo for TSM at A short stopped the push and pick off Food for the first blood. T1 needed to check for ultimates there and remember that Sage and Brim are playing A site, which is a deadly duo. Sub Rosa almost manages to be a hero and get 3 kills, but he lost a crucial fight against Skadoodle because he had a Spectre. Honestly, if he had a rifle, I think this round was a done deal for T1. After a bunch of trades, it turns into a 2v2 and Skadoodle has literally 1 HP. Scott does the right play and plants the bomb while waiting patiently for his heal to come back up. After Skadoodle heals himself, both TSM members decide to come out of heaven, and Crashy gets the first kill and Skadoodle falls right after with the second to close out the game. That ends the game 13-10 in favor of T1. And I have to say, what an amazingly close series. There were a bunch of back and forth rounds for TSM they could have won, like the pistol, that would have won them the match. But well played to both teams for making it such an exciting grand finale. Hope you guys are enjoying Pro Valorant tournaments as much as I am because I am loving them. If you did enjoy this analysis, please like, comment, and subscribe to support our videos. Leave a comment down below if you enjoyed and would want to see more of these types of videos. As always, I'm Stray and I'm signing out. Have a good one, folks. Peace.